Hey, what's happening, everybody? Robert Phoenix here. Getting a bit of a late start today, but hopefully it'll be worth your wait as we take a little bit of a deeper dive into the latest pieces that I've been able to kind of put together with the Kobe Bryant event. Let's call it an event because it really is an event in a lot of ways. So we're probably going to go for about 45 to 50 minutes today. Buckle in. It's going to be kind of an interesting ride. Now, I haven't fully put together an overarching story or picture, but there are pieces now that are lining up that are quite unusual. And I'm going to be talking about some fairly diverse sources today and sort of plugging and piecing them together to give you an understanding as to what might be going on and how this is connected to the coronavirus. So let's use it in the chat room. Let's go there. Let's find out where we are in Chatlandia. We got Misty. We've got 10 Dragon. There's Joe. Hey, Joe. There's Judy. Hi, Judy. JMP Love and Miranda and Carrie Rose and Christine. Hello, Christine. Uncle Glenn, the man from Uncle Glenn. We're going to be talking about the man from Uncle Glenn. No, the man from Uncle. We're going to talk about the man from Uncle today in a very curious sync with the man from Uncle. Hi, Charles. Good to see you. Good vibrations, world. I'm picking up good vibrations. I think it's Jack. Oh, guess who's here? Right on time. Come on up. Now, because of the new setup, you probably don't get to see him much. You get to see this when I put his head in there, but he's below the fold now, sort of. You can see the back of his head. Yes, Jasper. I've been showing him the I Am Puma videos, and he's quite jealous, actually, of that cat, that big cat. Messy, Jasper. I should talk to Jasper like a Russian. Jasper. I love you, Jasper. You're my big boy. My big lovey boy. Rosie getting a lot of, speaking of love, Rosie getting a lot of love on the internet for her cameo appearance on Sunday night. Big love for Rosie. You can check out the comments. She's Jasper. You got a little competition now. Your girl is getting some screen time. All right, let's go back into Chatlandia. Let's see who we've got. Yes, there he is. Yes. There's Sandy. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. Okay. Let's get into this Kobe thing a little bit. When these big events happen, I try to avoid not the pomp and circumstance, but the Sturm and Drang and some of the aftermath. I try to avoid the aftermath because I don't want to get programmed. I tune in for certain things. I try to use the filters and the screens, but yeah, I was watching a bit of the aftermath yesterday. And what's interesting about this Kobe event, and I'm just talking about from a kind of a wide cultural perspective, an event you're going to drill down into kind of these two camps now that are beginning to kind of bifurcate. And I'm going to talk about the bifurcation process as well. So one of the things, let me just check something here. Hold on. Yes. I must upgrade. Okay. Hopefully that'll be better. Now when I see myself, I'm less of a kung fu movie. You know how in a kung fu movie where they go, "Hey, he's over there," that sort of thing. Anyway, so from the broad perspective, this Kobe crash feels a lot like, in some ways, JFK. And the reason why it feels a lot like JFK is because Kobe was essentially in our consciousness since he was 18 years old. He became a starter for the LA Lakers at 18 and theoretically dead at 41. And that's a pretty long time, very, very long time. And in spite of his absolutely horrific scene, I don't want to say horrific, but very dark, the dark scene that took place, I think it was in Vail, Colorado, where he was getting rehabbed for his hamstring, or was it hamstring or quad, or anyway, he was getting rehabbed, and that whole rape thing went down, which he by the way, he settled out of court with that. He paid his accuser a significant amount of money to have that go away. And it's interesting that in the Me Too era, that Kobe's name never came up, never ever came up. And I was talking with my good buddy Mark over on Facebook last night. We were throwing stuff back and forth. Like, Mark is really good at decoding things too. Mark Matheny. Well, Mark is the opposite sign of me. Mark is 29 Pisces, and I'm 29 Virgo. So we're these interesting kinds of poles, and we tend to pick up on different things, but they kind of come together in a unique way. So one of the things that I had done months ago, and I had forgotten that I had done this, like I looked into Joe Bryant, who is Kobe Bryant's father. And it was just one of those things, like, you sit around and go, well, gee, because I've known about Kobe's estrangement from his parents, which I'm not sure ever really got resolved. So I remember looking into Joe Bryant's, he was a basketball player, not bad, pretty good basketball player, played a lot in Italy. That's where Kobe grew up and speaks fluent Italian, or spoke fluent Italian. Anyway, so Kobe's dad winds up coaching this team overseas, and I think they were called like the Black Cobras or something like that. It was really weird stuff. So Mark was picking up on that yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, I remember going to Joe Bryant's page, thinking how weird that was. So let's get back to this connection with Kobe and Kennedy. If you go back to 1963, when Kennedy died, if you were around then, you knew where you were. When they announced that Kennedy had died, you knew where you were. It was like your world stopped in a lot of ways. And I think this thing with Kobe, even though I'm not so dialed into Kobe like a lot of other fanboys or pop culture fanboys, but I guarantee you there's a whole group of people that will have the same experience. Oh, I know exactly where I was. I was sitting down, having breakfast. I saw it on ESPN, or I was somewhere with my family leaving church, and I saw the TMZ thing pop up on my phone. Whatever, people will remember this. So it has that kind of resonance, and it has the same kind of resonance in a lot of ways that Kennedy had, in that there is this very mournful feeling. And I was watching some of the sports takes yesterday. Excuse me, going to scratch my ear. I was watching some of the sports takes yesterday, and some of them were actually pretty poignant from people that you wouldn't think would be all that poignant. Like, I was watching one of the guys from the Lock It In show. It's a betting show, and he actually said some very meaningful things. Now, whether you think that Kobe died or not, I'm going to get to that debate, because that now is a debate. So I'm going to get to that debate. Whether you think he died or not, let's just put that away and put that off to the side, and let's just wrap our heads around the fact that he did die, and that the kid died, and the other people on the helicopter died. And I'm going to talk about some of those people too, by the way. That let's say that for all intents and purposes, we'll never know. We'll never know unless maybe about a week from now we see somebody talking about the life of Kobe, and it's actually Kobe in disguise, because that shit happens sometimes. And I'm not saying that actually happened, but it does happen, right? So, and for a conspiracy like this to exist, you'd have to have a lot of people involved in this, a lot, because that copter pilot was in touch with the airport the entire time, right? They were guiding him how to fly through the fog to get to where they were going. So there's a record of that. And so they were having these conversations. I'll show you a picture of the crash scene. And they're pulling bodies out of the crash scene. Well, at least it looks like a body because they're picking it up. So in order for this to be a full-blown conspiracy where Kobe doesn't die and all the people on board the plane are involved in this and they all get a free pass and new lives in underground city somewhere so they can somehow avoid the coronavirus plague that theoretically may be coming. Well, that's a lot to put together. That's a lot of agreement. It's a lot of moving pieces, and all it just takes is just one person to kind of spill the beans. And you know, sometimes if you look at the moon landing, right? I mean, come on now, there were a bunch of people that kept that on the down low and still do. So, is it impossible for a large group of people to be involved in a very significant conspiracy around Kobe Bryant not dying? Possibly, but what would be the impetus for this? What would be the payoff for this? Would it be the payoff that they all get a seat at the table somewhere, that they all get to go to the deep underground military bunker with the air ventilators and all the goodies? Right? Is that what happens? While the rest of America is up choking themselves to death on their bodily fluids that are filling their lungs at an obscenely rapid rate? I don't know. I mean, this is something that, you know, maybe is part of the deal. I have to explore all these options in some ways, but in order for that to happen, in order for that to be pulled off, there has to be a lot of agreement. Let's just go there. But getting back to the overall feel, the Kobe thing, it's really interesting because in a weird way, it's like pulling people together. In a weird way, it's like the overall message was, you know, you never know. And this is really interesting too. This is a very interesting kind of lamentation as we move into 2020, which is the year of the double 20s, the time of reckoning. Right? The number 20 represents the judgment card in the major arcana, the Aeon, and it is when the horn, right? When Gabriel blows his horn, and the walls come tumbling down. And it is the end of one era and one aeon and one age and the beginning of another. And remember, at the end of the year, we're going to have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. And we're starting out with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn. And Capricorn represents time. And as I've been talking about, this is old time. Old time. And where we're headed towards is a new time. And again, I've been trying to make this connection. I've been trying to make this connection with the South Node in Capricorn and Jupiter in Capricorn, and Saturn in Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn, and the dissipation of time. And that we're literally running out of time. Just track your day. See how much you get done in a day. There's no time in a day anymore. And when I gave my talk at the Austin Astrological Society, and I asked people, I said, is this how your day goes? And I recounted my day. And how many people feel like you get up in the morning and that you're in bed like minutes later? I mean, really think about that. You get up in the morning, you do your thing, and you feel like you're in bed minutes later. I asked people to raise their hand, and nearly the entire room raised their hand. So it feels to me like we're running out of the old time, and we're headed towards a new time, which is, and they're these. We're starting off right with, it's not quite the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn. We're going to get that in March, but it's the beginning of the year. So we're starting that off, and then we're ending. So there's a beginning and an end, right? There's an alpha and the omega. And the omega is something I'm going to be focusing on. Now, Kobe was an alpha. Okay, he was an alpha. He was an alpha dog. He's an alpha wolf. He talks about hunt or be hunted. That was one of his maxims. Hunt or be hunted. Hunt or be hunted. And in that sense, LeBron was not the alpha in Los Angeles. That was Kobe. LeBron is the omega. And the omega can become the alpha when he starts a new tribe or when he starts a new pack. If you know anything about the omega wolf is considered like the clown wolf of the pack, and it's a wolf that takes. It's a very interesting. Like there's the alpha, and then there's the omega, and then there's the pack. And it's probably better if you're the alpha or the omega versus the pack. And the reason why is that the omega wolf is the only wolf that can leave the pack and then start a new pack and become an alpha. This is what happens with the omega. The role that the omega plays inside of the actual pack is to keep things loose, to keep things funny. If there's a dispute or quarrel amongst one of the pack members, the omega will step in and do something, and he might risk getting hurt as a result of this. He'll do stupid things like roll around, and he keeps the pack loose. And after the alpha, the omega eats second, which is also an important thing to note. But he also takes on a lot of the psychic tension of the pack. And then if he so decides, he's the one that can split off and start a new pack. So Kobe was the alpha, and LeBron is the omega. He's the last man standing. Right now, he's the new king. He's the new king of the Lakers. He's the new king of LA. And we're going to get into this. I'm going to take you to a very interesting kind of journey here today. And what we're talking about, or what they're talking about in the media, is like being in the moment, being in the now. And this is a constant mantra that I heard yesterday. Tomorrow is never a given. This is the theme that's been just shotgun blasted across the sports media. You never know when it's your time. You never know when it's your time. Hold your kids close. Don't sweat the small stuff. And some of this is actually really true. Like this is a real tonic for the troops in a lot of ways. We get so caught up in, being right and who's on the red team, who's on the blue team, who's the good guy, all this stuff. And sometimes we actually miss the act and the art of living and being connected with people. And I think that that's a pretty good message. Like if you're going to take something out of it, that's not a bad thing to take out of it. But consistently, and again, from this programming perspective, people are being told it's never a given. It's not a given. You don't know how much time you have left, right? There's this whole notion of time. It's all about the moment. So it feels like in a lot of ways we're being prepped. We're being prepped for this idea that there's something moving at us from the event horizon that we need to be conscious and aware of and, love it up now. That's not bad advice, but it's also interesting in that it's happening right here in January, start of the year, and also with the script of the coronavirus running in the background. And I made a connection with LeBron and Corona vis-a-vis simple gematria, however you say the number 66. 66. LeBron and Corona. And LeBron is now the king, and the Corona is the crown. And Kobe had a crown on his right shoulder, right? So theoretically, once LeBron passed Kobe, Kobe was, passing the Corona to LeBron. Now, here's what I want to do, because I've set this thing up, right? What is the general tone? And it feels a lot like Kennedy. Ironically, or maybe not, there are initials that connect both Kennedy and Kobe. Well, first of all, Kennedy and Kobe start with K. Okay, coincidence. Yeah. But the initials LBJ also connect Kobe and Kennedy. LBJ, of course, being LeBron James and Lyndon Baines Johnson. LBJ. And LBJ, in terms of Lyndon Baines Johnson, was one of the perpetrators of the Kennedy assassination. Sorry, all you fellow Texans that live down the road in Johnson City. I'm sure absolutely none of you are watching this, so I don't have any fear of insulting you, but there's a clear path there. Okay, very clear path. So now we have two LBJs that are connected with these two events that feel a lot similar, Kennedy and Kobe. And Kobe is the alpha. He was born on 823, 0 Virgo, Sun conjunct Regulus. So that's the alpha. That is the king status. If you have your Sun conjunct Regulus, that is the crown, the royal star. Now, Oberon coming into town, Oberon is the Omega. He's the last Earth sign, Capricorn. So he rolls into town. You know, that's what LeBron does. He's kind of an Omega. And he goes from town to town to town, from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland. So he's looking, you know, he's moving himself and moving into new packs and starting a new pack. That's what LeBron does. Okay, so I've kind of set the stage for you a little bit here. And I wanted to get into the passenger list because I've been digging into the passenger list a little bit, trying to figure out who these people are. One of the most curious people on the passenger list is the husband, well, Christina Mauser, 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 Christina, which is Christ, and Mauser. I'm gonna get into, like, you know, I haven't really decoded her name, but clearly Mouse would come up, right? Mauser. So, but certainly we have the Christ imagery with Christina. Now, she was the coach of the Mambo squad, and her husband Matt Mauser, and their 3 kids are left. Now, I heard an interview with Matt Mauser on today. I want to play it so you guys can hear this thing. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this, I want you to pay attention, because he at the beginning of this interview, he kind of laughs. You don't see him, you're only going to hear him. But I want you to listen. Okay, here we go. I'm going to punch this up. Now, of course, people can feel uncomfortable and when they laugh and blah, 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 right? I mean, this does happen, but it kind of feels maybe a little Sandy Hookish. So here we go. You're going to hear this. This is Matt Mauser, the surviving husband of Christina Mauser. Here we go.
Got 3 small kids and trying to figure out how to navigate life with 3 kids and no mom. You know. All
right, hold on. Let's do it again.
It's important to remember, as we remember Kobe Bryant, that helicopter crash involved 7 others who were also killed, and one of them was Christina Mauser. She was the assistant coach for Chi Bryant's Mamba Academy team, and Christina's husband, Matt Mauser, is joining us now on the phone. And Matt, our hearts are with you. We are so sorry for your loss. How are you doing?
I was keeping it together until you said her name. Now I'm starting to lose it again, but I guess I'm doing as good as we can expect.
Now I'm not saying that nobody died here. Far from it, but there's a very unusual moment. Maybe it's because he feels. I want you to listen again. I'm going to try to do something with my sound, because my sound is not the way I want it today. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me stop the share. I want to play this again, but I'm not happy about my sound. Hold on. Let me see. Testing mic, USB and P sound device. Use PUP sound device. Let me see. Okay, let me try this again. I want to play this one more time. I just needed to hear this for myself. All right, hold on now. All right, so we're going to play this again.
It's It's important to remember, as we remember Kobe Bryant, that helicopter crash involved others, 7 others, who were also killed. And one of them was Christina Mauser. She was the assistant coach for Chi Bryant's Mamba Academy team. And Christina's husband, Matt Mauser, is joining us now on the phone. And Matt, our hearts are with you. We are so sorry for your loss. How are you doing?
I was keeping it together until you said her name. Now I'm starting to lose it again. But
did you hear that? There's that weird laugh that we've seen. And again, I'm not saying that she didn't die, but it's one of these consistent themes. We'll play this out. You guys heard the laugh. It's very strange. Here we go.
I guess I'm doing as good as we can expect. It's just horrible. It's horrible. So, I got 3 small kids and trying to figure out how to navigate life with 3 kids and no mom.
Okay, now there's some emotion there at the end. You can start to hear some of the emotion at the end. But it's very unusual in terms of the laughter piece. Now, who is Matt Mauser? So I went and I looked. Well, Matt Mauser apparently is a Frank Sinatra song stylist. And he has a band called the Tijuana Dogs. And they perform. He sounds a lot like Frank Sinatra. And he's got a YouTube channel, which I found. And one of the songs on there, he does a version of Come Fly With Me, the Sinatra tune. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is the video of his son. I'm going to play a little bit of it here. I'm not going to use the volume, but his son is a musician or an artist, I guess, like dad. These people are doing okay, it looks like, financially. And there's this one scene where the kid does something really unusual. So I'm going to play you. It's called Busted, which is a really weird title for this video. So apparently, here's the scene. This is the son of Christina Mauser, and he's on an iPad, and he gets busted for being on his iPad. And they're saying, "You're busted." That's his dad. That's Matt Mauser. He's going to take it away. And now the kid does this song called "I'm Busted." And he's saying, "What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do?" Now he's like doing this song. And if you heard the music, you'd be hearing his song. This is him singing now. And this is him doing his thing. And then he's DJing. He's got DJ equipment. He's dancing. He's got his little dance on. He's got the moonwalk, Michael Jackson there. DJing, Smooth Criminal look right here. More dancing. And now he's the ninja. Cobra, do you see that? Go back. Let's see this right here. Looks like he's got a cobra on his chest. Could be a dragon. Looks like a cobra. Let's keep going. There's his Pokemon cards. Now he's doing a Star Wars thing. It's a dragon. There's playing Twister with his sister. More ninja, more Pokemon. By the way, Pokemon, if you don't follow Pokemon is about summoning demons. I know it sounds crazy, but they're these elementals, these little demonic forms that are basically summoned through a game. Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into Pokemon. So he's playing Twister. He's got Pikachu on him. And here's where it's going to get very interesting. Okay, he's doing his little ninja thing, making a smoothie on his hoverboard, having some food. These are all the things he can be doing besides being on his iPad. And here comes the break in the song. It's coming up, the transition, also known as, we've got the teddy bear there, right? There's the teddy bear, which is the big bear, which can be very symbolic in a lot of ways. Unicorn in the background. And then here it comes. This is kind of the reveal moment of this video coming up. Right here, I want to stop this. What is this kid doing? Well, I'll tell you what he's doing. This is a circle. This is a circle. This is a ritual circle. Now, the ritual circle is enclosed by things that are related to sports. We have a football, we have a basketball, we have a bat. There's a skateboard, soccer ball on the other side. And this kid is turning in a circle. And this is a drone shot too, by the way. So this is now it could look like a bit of a helicopter too. I'm not quite going there, but this is a really interesting part of the video. It's like, where is this influence coming from? Lost in a circle. I'm lost in my circle. This is exactly the lyric of Station to Station by David Bowie. And if you know Station to Station, it is a song about magic from Kether to Malkuth, Station to Station, from Alpha to Omega. Same thing, Kether to Malkuth, Alpha to Omega. I'm lost in my circle, dredging sound. One of the lyrics from Station to Station. This kid, Matt Mauser's son, Tom, is lost in his circle. Really interesting. It's like, wow, what is going on here? Of course, all the Michael Jackson references. And Michael Jackson, like Kobe, also a Virgo. Somebody asked me if Michael Jackson was still alive. So here's my theory on Michael Jackson, if you want to hear it. My theory on Michael Jackson was that when he had they did the Pepsi commercial, and this is around Thriller era Michael Jackson, that Michael Jackson suffered severe burning and scarring to his face and his hair. He was never the same after that. And I believe Michael Jackson was replaced. Again, this is just my opinion, my far out theory, right? If you want to check something out, I'm not going to play it today, but there's a very interesting video that took place on the Larry King Show, where there was this guy by the name of Dave, who is on Larry King Show, and Dave was supposedly somebody that Michael knew from the time he was a baby, young, and burned. You look at his face and you listen to Dave at a certain point in that video. I swear to God, he sounds just like Michael Jackson. So my feeling is that Michael was replaced. And it's also interesting because his music was different. You know, I always thought to myself, well, whatever happened to Michael Jackson? You know, what happened to this guy? You know, he was super talented. He had, you know, everybody has like a voice print signature, and it's not just how they sound, but it's the analog resonance with the voice. And I never heard that with whatever version of Michael Jackson came after Michael Jackson. So I think it's a very complicated question. And I think that Michael Jackson, who was, you know, the Neverland Michael Jackson, right? I don't think that was Michael Jackson. I don't. I think that was somebody that they had employed to be Michael Jackson, and that this was, you know, his thing. Because I think the original Michael Jackson got scorched and tarred during that Pepsi commercial. I know, a bit controversial, but some of you can probably go with this. This is just my opinion and my belief. And that's why there was a strange kind of event after when Michael Jackson died. You know, I was really deep into my blog at that time, and I was sitting at home watching the whole thing and trying to decode the whole thing. And he never felt like he died to me. I never felt that. I never got that. And it didn't feel like, there's something about this Kobe thing that feels different than the Michael Jackson. And then there's that video of Michael Jackson where you kind of see him walking, you know, through the underground parking structure. It's like, you know, where did that come from? You know? Anyway, I want to drop into the meat of this thing. I want to drop into the meat of this thing. Hold on a second. Let me try to get a hold of me. I'm getting more like the 2.4 projector. Sometimes I just have a very challenging time with interruptions. You know, if you're out there and you're listening, and you're trying to get a hold of me between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, Tuesday through Thursday, bump it out a little bit. Just saying. Okay. All right. So here's where I want to go with this, because very unusual stuff. Now remember, we're looking at the Alpha and the Omega. There is a movie from 1971 with Charlton Heston called The Omega Man. What is that movie about? It's about the end of the world. And what brings about the end of the world? It is a plague. That's what brings about the end of the world. And Charlton Heston he's a scientist, he's a researcher, doctor, scientist, researcher, working on an antidote for this plague. In one of the scenes from the Omega Man, and I have not been able to find the actual video footage of this, but I want to show this to you. One of the scenes of the Omega Man, find the right link here. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, that's not it. I want to get away from that. Get away from that. Okay. So I wanted to show you some pictures first of the Kobe crash, because I looked those up. So here we go. All right, so these are some of the photos that have been released around the Kobe crash. Here's part of the helicopter. Here are the first responders. And here they're actually pulling what looks like a body, maybe more than one body out. Here's another scene. Okay. You know, here's another scene. This is another image of the debris field. What else do we have? More images from the debris field. You can see a little bit of burning here, right? We can see some burning. The one thing I do wonder about this, and maybe it's because of the rocky terrain, but why did this not start more of a fire? I'm just have to ask these questions. This is a very dry area, and I know it was a foggy day and everything. So here we have these first responders. They're involved. You have the NTSB involved. You have a number of different agencies involved here. Here's more of the footage. So I'm just giving you kind of a bird's eye view, literally and figuratively, of what looks to be the debris field and what happened. And first responders. Okay. There's that. Now, I'm trying to find this weird connection. God, with the Omega Man. Let me go back over here. Pardon me. I apologize. I I got to find it again. Give me 1 second. I must have clicked on another window, got rid of it. It won't take very long. Here we go. Oh, I think I pulled off the image. There it is. That's what I did. So it's on my desktop. Bear with me, peeps. So here we have the image for the Omega Man. By the way, a film that as a kid, I freaking loved. I loved all the dystopian apocalyptic movies. Gee, I wonder why. So this is Charlton Heston in the helicopter, and the helicopter pilot succumbed to this plague. And Heston himself, as the doctor, Neville is his name. He goes down and he succumbs to the plague, but he has a test batch of the antidote, which he injects himself with. So he becomes the last man on Earth. This is a remake of the Last Man on Earth movie, which was a film that starred Vincent Price. And then the Omega Man was remade with Will Smith playing the Charlton Heston role. And what's really interesting about the Omega Man is that it has the survivors of the plague become these zombies. They're afraid of they're not really zombies. They're more like mutant vampires. And they're killing. What they want to do, this is really interesting, is they burn books and they want to burn down any memory of the quote unquote white race. And this is in the movie. Now, what's also interesting is that Heston has an interracial romance with Rosalind Cash. And at that time, interracial romances in movies were few and far between. They didn't happen very often. I think the first interracial romance was To Sir with Love, right? Not To Sir with Love, but Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I think that was an early one. Also, there was Jim Brown, Fort Apache with Raquel Welch. Anyway, this is, again, kind of for the survival of the race, right? That Charlton Heston and Rosalind Cash, let me put this back up, are hooking up. They're getting together. But he's the guy that survives, and he plummets to Earth in a helicopter over Los Angeles. Now, I looked at the director of this movie, and his name is Boris Siegel, and a mildly interesting director. I wouldn't call him a great director, but mildly interesting. And one of the other movies that he made was a film called The Helicopter Spies. It's really weird. Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of the movie because I have the trailer. Now, The Helicopter Spies is part of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series. Let me read you the synopsis. It's a really, really bizarre synopsis. I'm gonna read you the synopsis of The Helicopter Spies. Let me find this thing. It's right here, and I'm gonna play you the trailer. Now, remember, this is the same guy that did the Omega Man, which involves a plague, Los Angeles, and now The Last Man on Earth. The Helicopter Spies, a feature-length film version of The Man from U.N.C.L.'s fourth season, 2-part episode, The Prince of Darkness Affair. The episodes were originally broadcast in the United States on October 2nd, 1967, and October 9th. Like the television series, it stars Robert Vaughn, David McCallum. It is the seventh such feature film that used as its basis a re-edited version of one or more episodes from the series. The film was directed by Boris Siegel and written by Dean Hargrove, Carol Lindley, Bradford Dillman, Lisa Albright, John Denner, Julie London, H.M. Wynant, Roy Jensen also star in the film. So let me read you the synopsis of the film. Uncle Agent's Napoleon Solo. Wasn't that? Okay, hold on. Let me see something here. Wasn't that the name? N Solo. Wasn't that the name of the guy that put the tweet up? I'd have to look at that. That Kobe Bryant would die in a helicopter accident. All right, let me continue to do this. I'll try to find this as we go through this. A witness the aerial destruction wrought on an African village by Dr. Carmuzi. Carmuzi. Interesting. Just an interesting connection to Kobe Bryant's Muse cage. Interesting. I'm not making any kind of actual connection there, but it's in there. Using his newly developed thermal prism, Uncle then seeks out notorious safecracker and former thermal prison researcher himself, Luther Sebastian, to help them obtain the device from Dr. Carmuzi. Sebastian is on an island among a religious group called the Third Way, a mystical organization with disciples having, except for Sebastian, platinum white hair. Where do we see that? Wasn't that like the Julian Assange? Wasn't that the Julian Assange community in Australia? The family? Was that what they were called? And they all the kids had their hair dyed platinum blonde, even if they weren't a blondie. Interesting. Again, just another notice. Okay. When the old man in their group finally speaks after 20 years of silence, the Third Way will have dominion over the world. Wanted in nearly 24 countries, Sebastian agrees to leave the island and help Uncle in return for worldwide immunity. That's an interesting word. From prosecution. Solo makes his way to Dr. Carmuzi's fortress, but is initially delayed by Annie and her boyfriend, Axoy. She feels that Sebastian can help her fiance and Axoy's brother, both of whom were unjustly imprisoned because of Sebastian. However, Dr. Carmuzi's wife, Azalea, betrays her husband, kills Axoy, abandons Annie, and helps Solo get into the fortress. Unfortunately for Solo, Annie follows him, claiming to be his wife, gains access herself. So this is kind of a tangled plot. So it involves helicopters, though, and it involves the same director who directed the Omega Man. I'm going to play you a clip here. So this is, let me do this. This is the trailer for the Helicopter Spies. And remember, Kobe traveled by helicopter everywhere. So here we go. And I'm going to let the sound play in this. Here's the trailer, 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
Your identification, Mr. Solo. I'm here to take you to your doctor's appointment.
Mr. Solo, yours is not the only unscheduled appointment. Crime makes many excursions into the amorous, arduous, adventuresome realm of the Helicopter Spies.
You'd better tell us where we can find Sebastian.
Concealed behind these bold actions are the real desires, conflicts, and intrigues that can change the destiny of the world.
All units secure countdown positions. Countdown set. Confirm all tower tracking zones. Double lock all computers.
A rocket.
Brothers and sisters.
And a religious cult combine to make an audacious assault on humanity.
not going to let him die.
That is exactly what I am going to do. Switch to...
Do you see this scene back here? Watch this.
A rocket
Brothers and sisters.
and a religious cult combine to make an audacious assault on humanity.
Well, you're not going to let him die.
That is exactly what I am going to do. Switch to alternate G. Mr. Solo, you have a curious affinity for trouble. And for women.
Help yourself. I'll slip into something more comfortable.
Mr. Kuryakin, you also have your hands full.
So that is that scene or this setting is supposed to be Iran. Supposed to be Iran. Iran is built into the script of this.
Violence is your department. You'll think of something, I'm sure.
An encounter with a mad mastermind makes Ilya an unwitting accomplice to the fine arts of international crime, blackmail, and death.
Okay, so you get the drift there. The helicopter spies. Huh, interesting. Now, Kobe was bilingual, and he spoke fluent Italian. And I've made a case before where actors and athletes also play the role of spies because they have international access. They can go anywhere, and nobody would ever think of them as being a spy. Now, again, things are starting to come out, connections between Kobe and Clinton, and also Kobe and Epstein. And when we get into that realm, it's a realm of international intrigue. It's a realm of intrigue. And they certainly classify in the occult kind of meaning of being a spy, which is being hidden. Spies are hidden. You don't know if somebody's a spy. And remember, Kobe had all those planets in his 8th house. So his identity is occulted in a lot of ways. And again, I'm not saying that Kobe didn't die. All right. You're going to have to feel this out in your own way. But what I am seeing here are a lot of connecting pieces in a very unusual way with the Omega Man, and the relationship between Kobe and David Stern, Kobe being born at 0 Virgo, which makes him the Alpha Virgo, and David Stern being born at 29 Virgo, which makes him the Omega Virgo, Virgo being the sign of healing, LeBron, the crown, Corona. So there's something interesting going on here. And the Omega Man with the backdrop of LA and this plague. And then the same director who was apparently specialized in helicopter footage and helicopter scenes. And there's a scene in the Omega Man where the helicopter crashes, obviously. And it's, helicopter crashes are not always easy to pull off in terms of theatrical or cinematic releases. But apparently, and I remember it's one of the better helicopter crashes, more believable or realistic. So these two movies are very, very, very odd and intriguing in how it sort of connects into that vector, right? Connects right into that vector. So what's it all about, Alfie? Well, it seems to me that there is some kind of large psychological operation going on here. Big, like it's really big. And it doesn't have to do with Kobe faking his death in some, magical first responder, brotherhood sort of way. But there is something here that is definitely connected, and it's connected to the coronavirus and this idea that we don't have a lot of time left, because that was the theme that was being brought up consistently yesterday. Hug your loved ones. You never know when it's your time. Things like that. And I've actually been talking about this for a while. I started talking about this about a year ago, and I said we're now living in the time of a reckoning, and that this is a time where you've got to get all of your spiritual molecules and atoms into one place in order to move through this time. Because if they're not, then there's a very good chance that moving through this time will be a very difficult time for each and every one of us. And now we're getting the message, right? This is the hidden in plain sight stuff. We're getting the message, and it's starting to come together and sort of interlock. And Kobe feels to me like this thing feels like a ritualized event. Now, whether you think he's dead or not, that's up to you. I think that he's gone no matter what. But in order for this to be pulled off, you'd have to have everybody at that crash scene. You'd have to have the people with the NTSB. You'd have to have the people with the air traffic control, because they were talking with the pilot the whole time. You'd have to have, Kobe's family. There's a web and a network of silence and conspiracy. And I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. Hello, moon landing. Okay. Hello, 9/11. And I also think that there is enough here to frame this as a ritualized event with a number of different triggers and syncs. And I think this is definitely related to the coronavirus. You look at the Omega Man, you look at the theme around it. Now, again, are they priming us? Is it predictive programming? We're putting some of these pieces together. And I would not be surprised if Kobe was a spy. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I remember Richard Dean Anderson, the guy who played MacGyver, and he had a brief affair with Katarina Witt, and Katarina Witt was the busty figure skater who eventually had to give up figure skating because her boobs were too big. It was throwing her center of gravity off when she was doing her spins and turns. Anyway, she was an East German, and he dated her briefly, and he was convinced that she was a spy. What's interesting about her is I just watched Ronin, the movie, for the first time. I've never seen it before. It's been out for a long time. It was not one of those movies that I don't like Robert De Niro. So I kind of stayed away from watching, but I watched it. And Katarina Witt is in it, and she plays a spy, and she gets killed. She gets killed in the end of the movie, and it's a big distraction for something else to go on and take place. So, now, there's also, we see some of this from time to time, like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Not The Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I Spy. I Spy is a great example. Another 60s TV series. Some of the best series were being broadcast in the 1960s. There was so much show and tell going on in the 1960s, whether it was Get Smart, Man from U.N.C.L.E., I Spy, all these spy, The Prisoner, The Avengers. There was so much spy shit going on TV in the 60s. If you paid attention, they were telling you everything. And I mean everything, especially The Avengers. You got to watch The Avengers. Anyway, I Spy, the first TV series that featured an equal partnership between Robert Culp, who was white, and Bill Cosby, who was black. And what were they? They were tennis players. They were tennis players on the pro tennis circuit. They played doubles, they played singles, and they were spies. That's exactly what they were. So again, they're telling us that athletes are spies. If you look at the movie about Chuck Barris and the book that he wrote, Chuck Barris was not just a spy, but he was an Illuminati killer, apparently. And that movie was directed and produced by George, what's his name? Clooney. He plays a role. He plays Chuck Barris's fixer, right? The guy who's his connection, the shady connection. So the stuff is, it comes out all the time. So I would not be surprised if Kobe was also a spy, right? I would not be surprised at all. Even like Aleister Crowley. Crowley was a spy. Yeah, of course, he was a dark magician, but he was also a spy. Crowley was doing stuff during World War II, and he was working with the Germans and the British. Stuff goes on all the time. All the time. And if you're an international athlete, you travel all over the place. Of course, you're going to get access to parties. You're going to get access to people. Speaking of people, last week, there was a really weird game last week. And this came up with some of the sinks around Kobe Bryant. And the Lakers were playing the New York Nets. And the New York Nets, of course, have Kyrie Irving. Very strange cat. Very, very strange. Kyrie Irving and the Lakers, LeBron James. And there's a very strange courtside meeting with LeBron James and Bill Clinton at that game. And what is going on there? Is Bill just going to? I've never seen Bill Clinton at a basketball game before. Never. He might have been. I've just never seen him. Jack Nicholson, unmissable at the Laker games. But basketball, I've never seen Clinton there. So he has a conversation with LeBron James. Michael Strahan. There was this really kind of gala event. They're all doing their handshakes and shit. So I'm bringing this spy idea in that there's and of course Ghislaine Maxwell's a spy. Jeffrey Epstein's a spy. And Ghislaine Maxwell's a lot of cover of a spy. And there certainly is the Seibel connections between Kobe and Epstein. There's a lot of weird shit that constellated around Kobe. Okay, a lot of weird stuff, very strange stuff. But I think the backdrop out of all this is it's connected. It is married to the coronavirus and the alpha and the omega symbolism, where Kobe, who was the alpha, now passes the alpha crown to LeBron, the king, James. And again, strangely enough, in simple gematria, shares the same numerical value as Corona. Oh, and by the way, one of the women who was on the helicopter had lived in Corona del Mar. And then they had moved to Dana Point. And Dana Point being just south, it's like Dana Point's in Orange County. And it's near where Nixon had his place. Wasn't far from Nixon. And Dana Point's also not far from the San Onofre nuclear plant. When I was a kid, we lived in Laguna Beach, and my parents used to like to drive around and look at neighborhoods. So we went to Dana Point on a number of occasions just to drive around and look at it. They have these interesting streets: Red Lantern Way, Green Lantern Way, Blue Lantern Way. A lot of lanterns in Dana Point. Anyway, one of the teachers, or one of the people on that copter, was a former teacher at Corona del Mar, School of Corona del Mar. Weird stuff, right? Very strange. Very, very strange. Not Corona, California, but Corona del Mar. Okay, let me check in with you guys and see where you're at, what's happening in Chatlandia, and what you think of some of the stuff that I'm bringing up here today. Ani says, thought creates reality. That's so true. I want to talk about that, Ani. Right on. Off topic, but people seem to be freaking out more over the coronavirus than they were over the Ebola virus. What is different about this epidemic? Ebola seems scarier. I think the difference between this is the fact that China is closing off a bunch of cities. And that never really happened with Ebola. Maybe you should look into another 60s movie, The Satan Bug. And then it's with a fight to stop the release of. Okay, nice, Hucklebuck. I like that name. Yes, there we go. Zika and mosquitoes seem scarier than these. Dennis Rodman is a spy. Here's Emily. Dennis Rodman, absolutely Dennis Rodman's a spy. That's another example. It's another example. And Dennis Rodman has split personalities too. Yep. I'm not here to sell you the coronavirus. That's not my job. I'm just telling you this is connected. And here's my theory. Oh, by the way, while all this was going on, Wolfgang Halbig got arrested. You guys know who Wolfgang Halbig is. He was the one guy that seemed to have the goods on the Sandy Hookers, and he got arrested because he was doxing Lenny Posner, and he was calling various agencies. Let's put it that way: the police, sheriffs, and he was trying to work with them and work with the fake Social Security number of Lenny Posner and how it connected to his kid. And he didn't really break any laws. They said that he was how do I say this? He was in possession of another person's Social Security number. And for that, what did they do? They pulled him out of his house at about 2:30 in the morning, and they took him into town and they booked him. They booked him at 3:18 in the morning. Why couldn't they just go over to his house at about 8 a.m., 7 a.m.? I guess they knew that he would be home at that time. Anyway, Wolfgang Halbig arrested while all this is going on. And he's the one guy that managed to fight Lenny Posner legally and won. And Wolfgang was also a retired police officer. Okay, we have been here before. What else we have? Nothing good happens during the witching hour. Yeah. Lots of dry brush and rich old folks. What else do we have here? What makes Corona so bad is how it spreads in the 14-day incubation. So Corona is a different beast. And look, you can think, here's my perspective. You could think it's just another psychological operation. You could think it's just another freak out. And that's another flavor of fear porn. But one of these days it won't be. One of these days it won't, because we've been so inculcated to think that this is fake and this is fake and this is fake and this is fake. And a lot of times it is. And I'd say the majority of it is. One of these days it won't be fake. And you're going to need to be on your toes. So, now, I am a Virgo, so I'm always preaching. I'm preaching preparation. Just, tether your camel first. Tether your camel first and do some research. Figure it out for yourself. What else do we have here? Mind control victim Dennis Rodman. Someone's knocking at the door. Someone's ringing the bell. Open the door, let them in. That's a spell. That's an absolute spell song by Paul McCartney. Someone's knocking at the door. Someone's ringing the bell. Do them a favor. Open the door and let them in. That's about a spirit. That song is about spirit invocation. You knock at the door, right? Ringing the bell. Ringing the bell. Open the door. Do me a favor. Let them in. Let the spirit in. Okay. The helicopter spies. Who thought that you would wake up and see the trailer for the helicopter spies? Oh, good one. That's why they call him the Worm. Very good. Diana says, I was in waiting room for Doc after 20 years in 2016 when Ebola was all over Fox News. I was vocal about mind control. Other patients were ignoring me. The number of cases has shot up, and that's a fact. Let's see. What else do we have here? Any other stuff? Let's see. Quite the Pinchian journey today. Well, this is, we live in interesting times, don't we? At the very least, these are interesting times. Okay, so to be continued, I'm going to continue to to go down the rabbit hole of some of the people that were on that helicopter with Kobe Bean Bryant and see if there's any other strange anomalies. That weird video where that kid, Tom Mauser, is spinning in that circle. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Somebody knew what they were doing. Somebody knows about circles. And somebody knows about what it's like to be lost in a circle. And I'm not sure it's the kid, or maybe it is the kid. Certainly there's some occulted knowledge going on there. Okay, I'm gonna jump off here for today. I got to jump into Robert Phoenix, the astrological reader. Thank you all for being a part of today's show. Really appreciate you being here. As always, you go to robertphoenix.com if you want a reading. I can work that out for you. That's how I make my bread and butter. I think tomorrow I'm going to have a link where if you want to subscribe, I'm going to have a subscription option here. It won't be very much. I'll have 2 tiers. And with the second tier, it won't be Patreon, but I'm going to start to offer a subscription for this show. And it's not like you're not going to get the show. It's an honor system. I've got a gal, a couple people, one of whom is in the chat, that subscribe on a monthly basis, and they do through PayPal. The Crimmies have supported me for the last year and a half with their monthly donation. And as in return, I sent them some money for their GoFundMe, and this is how we should be working our lives, right? Support the people that support us when we can, so we can keep this circle of life kind of moving forward. I think it's a really important quality and mechanism to have for whatever world we want to create here and now and moving forward in the foreseeable future. Okay, this is Robert Phoenix. I'm signing off for today. To discern what's real. Stay open to what's possible. Have a great day.